Sculpting Game Store Retail, Why We Do What We Do, Video 3. Still Chapter 1. So we've talked about why in being an entrepreneur and having capitalist goals, having a beachable business, and maybe even an exit plan one day with a business that can run without you. Now we're going to talk about you and self-care. Now, when you start a business, it's really, really important that you decide what your non-negotiables are early, what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not. My husband was watching the Cowboys documentary the other day. Don't laugh. He's been a fan all his life. And Skip Bayless said about the Super Bowl, if you are a coach who has successfully won a Super Bowl, you might be on divorce in your third marriage because that's what it takes. Because there's so much dedication to it. To win a Super Bowl in the NFL, in the most competitive football environment on the planet. If you want to get to that level, you've got to live it, breathe it, eat it. Now, I am not that person. I'm not going to win a Super Bowl as a coach. My non-negotiables are different than some people other non-negotiables. If you think of business entrepreneurs like, Elon Musk or Jensen Huang, they live their business and they've got $1 trillion valuations, right? Now, we talked about a retirement goal. We talked about what you're willing to work towards and that you should work towards those. I don't desire $1 trillion. I don't desire $1 billion. I don't need, I don't need 9 digits of money. Wait, 1, 2, 3. I don't need 12 digits of money. But when you look at your retirement goal, you've got to be willing to balance it. And you got to decide your non-negotiables. I'm a mom. Now, when we started our business, my Hannah was 2. And mom was out of the house more than she had to be because I was working in the school district and I was working at Mind Sculpt Games. Now, there's a balance there because I had a husband at home and my dad lived with us, and there were lots of people that were willing to care for Hannah, and I invest in Hannah a lot, and it's actually one of my biggest focuses at this point in my life is to be able to do that. And I was willing to take time out of the house in the beginning, but now one of my non-negotiables, and it is kind of negotiable, but one of my major preferences is that I work when my kids are at school. And honestly, one of the tests for our beachable business is, can I take summers off and be at home with the kids? Or how much of a summer can I take off and be with the kids? And you know what that forces me to do as a business owner? It sounds all relaxing and stuff, right? Well, it's not all the time because being away from the business is hard, because if I don't have all the procedures in place, then I've got to do extra work and clean up or, figuring it out after it goes wrong or getting behind on things. Because if I'm not on the pulse, feeling what the business is, checking my orders daily, doing my QuickBooks daily, if I don't do that type of work, I don't have as good of a feel as what's selling, and my data analysis then becomes periodic rather than daily. And that's actually a little bit of a behind factor. If I'm not doing my data right away, is my data doing me? Am I getting played? Those types of things are real. But if I do force myself, this is paired, right? I want to be with my kids. I want to invest in them. My hobbies that I pick with my kids now. Like I coach Hannah. I play board games with my kids. I go to Eli's events. I choose them. And that's a non-negotiable for me at this point because Business Baby has grown big enough and is beachable enough that I can start to work only when my kids are at school and maybe take those summers off. And sometimes these non-negotiables, like, you're going to have to ask yourself, am I willing to work weekends when I open a business? Am I willing to have to work 60 hours a week when I open a business? And in the first couple of years, those answers absolutely need to be a yes. I don't know how you're going to build a business with working only 40 hours a week when you're a startup. I don't know how to do it. We didn't do it. We had to work like dogs. And also, weekends are really important. In Great Bend, Kansas, off of a highway in 10th Street, weekends are our most important sale time because that's when people are through town. We don't make all our money by far by residents in this town. We make a lot of money off people that are like, whoa, I've never seen this store before. I'm from New York visiting grandma. I'm going to have to come back. But today I'm going to drop $400 because this is exciting and I'm not here very often. We need that. We need to be open on weekends. It's also why we're open late. We caught a construction worker who's in town for 3 weeks, and he got here and he was really excited, and he was also kind of bored because he was living in a hotel, and he picks up, $500 worth of stuff, and he comes back once or twice again before he's gone for a while, but that customer was important and the hours were important. So even though my non-negotiable might be that I work only school hours, do you think Mind Sculpt Games could run if we were open 8 to 3 every day? Come on, we wouldn't even fill all our online orders, and we wouldn't catch our customers, and we would lose so much money on potential gain of walk-in customers, it wouldn't be worth it. So in order to execute my non-negotiable, I've got to build the Beachable business that has systems, procedures, and training to allow my non-negotiable to become part of the system. So in the first couple years, you do need to decide some non-negotiables, but if you're passionate about this business, if you are willing to run this business, your negotiable might mean that you have to move to a new location that doesn't have 3 stores already in it to find success. Your negotiable, non-negotiable might not be your friendships. You might have to, if you care so much about the capitalist business and that lifestyle, you might have to move away from your friends. You might have to move away from your family to start a business. It might not work in your hometown where you grew up playing at the arena. You might have to do other things. We didn't start a business in Salina. We invited Todd to our wedding. It would have been pretty poor form to go be his competitor and try to put him out of business when there's 3 stores in Salina, right? So you want to decide your non-negotiables. And some of your non-negotiables won't be non-negotiable until you've succeeded at building procedures and training for 3 or 4 years to get to the point where you can hold a non-negotiable. And you know what? My non-negotiable has to change sometimes. I do have to work when my kids are out of school occasionally, when somebody's sick, when we have high volume on a release. Those types of things happen, but I try to build the system so that I have freedom. And that is because self-care matters to a creative entrepreneur. You are not following items on a checklist. You are not a franchisee who gets a plan of how to run a McDonald's and can talk to 500 owners who run the exact same type of McDonald's or similar enough that you can just follow a checklist. We are not that type of people. If you are an entrepreneur interested in retail or a startup or something like a friendly local game store, you must take care of yourself, because your brain and your heart and your creative ability are the driver of your business. No checklist. If you choose to sit at the computer and scroll through news articles doomcasting the future or playing games because you want to enjoy life, your business will not last. You will not last. So to take care of yourself, one of my non-negotiables is that I will have enough time in my work week while the kids are at school that I can go work out. And you know, I don't make it a non-negotiable that says I will get 6 hours of gym time, but it's close. That's the goal. That I could work out 3 times a week with powerlifting, that I will get enough sleep at night, that I will be able to go home, decompress, go to sleep, wake up, and come back to work. And I'll tell you, honestly, with self-care, one of my biggest, call it a hobby at this point, because one of my biggest investments and areas of interest is sleep. I have a bed that can go up and down so I can change my posture. I have a grounding sheet. I have Oslo earbuds that play white noise in my ear, and I go to sleep much faster with those. There might be snoring in the house, and I don't hear anything. I don't hear the dogs barking in the morning, and that's important to me. And, you know, I have not only a grounding sheet, but I have a cooling sheet, and I have a nice homemade quilt for my grandma. But all of these different things, wedge pillows, neck pillow. If it's about sleep, I've probably researched it. I bought a Pulsetto that can vagus nerve simulate so I can shut my brain off and not wake up at 3 in the morning thinking about business. Although I probably will. It's like one of those compelling features of my personality is that my brain at night is generating the next idea. And that's probably part of the way it's supposed to be. But if it's about sleep, I'm interested in it because sleep is super important to an entrepreneur. Working out is a physical, I don't even know what to call it. It is your body is what you're supposed to do. You need to work out as a store owner. You need to run. You need to get in the sunlight. You need to be in quiet moments alone. You need to not be on your phone all the time. You need to have moments where you can disconnect completely from the internet, preferably out in the sunlight, maybe even on the grass, because that's how you sustain your brain. You must build a business. Maybe not in the beginning. The first year or two, things are just different. You are sacrificing yourself to the grindstone when you become an entrepreneur and you go for it. But you've got, for sustainability, you've got to build in the aspects of the Beachable business where more and more you can save yourself, where more and more you can build up self-care that allows you to sustain the business, promote the community, give people a long-term space to play, let relationships flourish in long-term ways, have a community that can count on you. If I want my community to count on me, I need to work out. I need to sleep. I need to cook real fresh food, probably myself, and eat healthy. I need to sit in the sun. I need to walk in the grass occasionally. I need to be outside, and I need to take my daily vitamin. I owe it to Barton County and Great Bend that occasionally I'm not at work, that occasionally I'm in the gym. I'm outside. I'm riding a bike. I'm spending time with my kids. Those things are how capitalist entrepreneurs take care of themselves to build their community. It sounds selfish to start with capitalism, right? It sounds selfish to talk about self-care. But if you want to sustain something that promotes health, well-being, mental happiness, friendships in your community, you've got to take care of yourself. It's as simple as that. And you've got to build a business that can do it. You've got to do the hard work. You've got to take the risks. But you've got to not just play games at work. You've got to build sustainable systems. And this book will talk about some of those sustainable systems that you should build. But first, you've got to understand, you've got to have capitalist goals. That needs to include a retirement goal. And then you need to build in non-negotiables where you protect yourself, protect your family, because those are the reasons you do it. You think about your priorities in life. You got like God, family, country, and community. And you've got to protect that family. And you've got to protect that family by protecting yourself. And then when you've protected those, you can be a business builder that helps your community. But if they aren't in place in the right order, you're going to burn out. It's not going to work. You're not going to make enough money for it to be worth it. And you're going to start closing at 3 p.m. on certain days. And then you're not going to show up on certain days. And then you can't pay your payroll. And then the club fizzles because you weren't building a business. You were hanging out. Don't choose to hang out. Work hard. Then make sure you work out. Play hard. Be outside. Be with your kids. That's how you contribute to your community as an entrepreneur. You build it. You protect yourself. You sustain it.